What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Off the Beaten Path podcast. This is episode number 15. Conversation with those that dare to be different. We have Old Tom and the Lookouts. How are you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going? I'm Alex. It's a pleasure to be on the podcast. So nice of you two to invite me, and I'm excited to talk about everything.
Hey, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it's my
Yeah.
pleasure.
Yes, definitely a pleasure to have you, man. It's been good talking a little bit before, and ready to dive in and see what Old Tom and the Lookouts are all about.
Hell yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely you definitely find out a lot, just in the album. But before we dive into that at all, just give us a little backstory of how you guys started. How many people's in the band? I know you said Cecilia.
Yeah. It's myself and Cecilia at the moment, and we kind of rotate through folks that are going to be on the record, or who, really we've been a band that's formed largely through the pandemic. So it's our time, we haven't really had that time on the road or that time on stage to develop like the steady, cast members and roles that a lot of other bands have time to kind of figure out. But we've got a lot of really close friends that have helped us with the last record, as well as the record that is currently in production, and it's been wonderful so far. But a lot of our music focuses largely around mental health. As the primary lyricist, I write a lot about myself, somewhat selfishly, just for therapeutic reasons, just to share stuff that I've gone through, because I think that a lot of people tend to go through very similar things, not at all the same, and of course they're all nuanced in their own special ways, but with respect to everybody who's going through something, it's always really nice to know that you're not doing that alone. And that was something that a lot of bands that I listened to as a kid or as a young adult or even an adult now have provided me, is just that support system, and that, that knowing that I'm not the only one who feels like shit in the morning or at night or in the middle of the day.
Right. And see, honestly, I don't look at it as selfish that, you write lyrics about yourself, because as you said, it does help other people to know they're not going through this alone. There are other people, and not only is it great fucking music that catches your attention, it's also like, hey, I'm going through something and this is helping me. So I think it's the least selfish thing you could do is put yourself out there so transparently to help other people as well.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. The motto of the first band that I really sunk my teeth into with that mindset and that writing in mind is called Old Fox. We did a lot of touring over the last couple of years, and our motto for the first record that we put out was honest words for honest people, and that's really that's carried over into a lot of the the mantra that pushes a lot of the lyrics and music that I write. It's just I want it to be felt. I want that to be believable. I want that to be something that can be, something somebody connects to and believes. So, yeah.
Hey man, that's fucking beautiful. I love it. And yeah, let's go ahead and start it off with a song off of Beautiful or Not, Grafton Rabbits, if you don't mind playing that real quick.
I would love to.
Awesome, man.
If I tried hard enough, I could be brave. Cross the street with my head up. Think of the time that I could save. Wearing holes into my pockets like a kid. I'm nervous like an engine about to blow its lid. Damn, I wonder how I could be so fearless. I wonder how I could be Grafton Rabbits don't give a shit just where you came from. They've been woven to the earth so long before you'd come. And they're not afraid to hold your gaze while you stumble on their turf. Oh, they've got a way of looking without questioning your worth. Damn, I wonder how I could be so fearless. I wonder how I could be enough. Goddamn, I wonder. Goddamn, I wonder. Goddamn, I wonder. Goddamn, I wonder.
Hell yeah, man.
Man, you can't listen to that shit and not feel something.
Thank you so much.
If you don't feel anything, you don't have a soul.
Oh, Jesus. That's true. I hope it applies to this. But fuck, thanks so much. That's
Yeah,
so
man.
cool.
It was cutting out a little, so I hope the viewers get to hear it, without that. But if not, if it was cutting out for you guys too, hey, go fucking listen to Beautiful or Not. It's on the album and it's beautiful.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what I
man.
love about the indie folk style is it lends itself due to like not having a whole bunch of instrumentation and having very simple chord patterns. Like it lends itself to the storytelling stuff that you do.
Thanks
Very
so
well.
much. Thank you. Yeah, that's definitely one of the things that attracts me to the whole indie folk style as well, because Cecilia and I love our large arrangements. As you can see by the last record, the single "Till We're Just Bones" was that song is massive. There are so many different parts. Jody Miller is the person who arranged and wrote and performed the strings for that one, and did such an amazing job on that song. And again, Cecilia and I are huge fans of these enormous arrangements and stuff like that. But even when you strip them back, they can still be very, very touching, and they still have that delivery. And I think it's, I know it's like everybody is gonna claim some sort of influence from the Northeast. It's like Bruce Springsteen, of course. A lot of those great songwriters and stuff like that. I do always credit that, because even when you strip an E Street band song back to just Bruce and an acoustic guitar, it's still this amazing tune because it's about the story. And I think the performance as a unit in trying to create that arrangement as everybody's moving in the same direction. It's not about your instrument. It's not about your instrument. It's not about your instrument. It's about the story. And I think that that's something that bands like, Bruce Springsteen's bands, that's why they're such an incredible influence to so many artists like myself, is because it's that story that is the push. And with just an acoustic guitar, or with just an acoustic and a fiddle, or what have you, or even, a 6-piece band, it's still going to slap. As long as the song doesn't suck.
Right, yeah.
Exactly, man. That's something I kind of wanted to talk about, because the album is very, what is it? It's in your face, and it's a lot of, it sounds subtle, but it's a lot of instruments going on at one time. You know,
It can be a
um,
bit overwhelming, yeah.
but not overwhelming at all. Like that. That's,
Okay.
I definitely wouldn't use that word. It's the perfect mix. So
Okay.
how many how many instruments do you play? Like just by yourself and on the album, and how many artists do you actually bring in? It's like, hey, I can't do this, but I know what I want here.
So I'll use some of the more recent production as an example for an answer for that question. For this record coming, I've tracked guitar, lead vocals, backup vocals, piano, other keys, instruments, bass, some banjo. But as we're adding more stuff, I'm realizing how intermediate my banjo abilities are, and we're actually starting to reshop some of those parts out to our good friend Michael Day from Among the Acres in Connecticut.
Shout out to
Um,
Michael Day.
Shout out to Michael Day. Yeah, he's fucking amazing. He's doing such a wonderful job on banjo. Other folks that are on the record and in large part a collaborator of mine, Jake McCurdy. He is super influential on the way that we shop out these auxiliary parts to folks. In that, Jake and I have been writing together for a while, and we pride ourselves and really try to be very subsistent in what we're creating and how we get it out there. His background in mixing, editing, and mastering and production, as well as being a multi-instrumentalist as well, we do have a wealth of instruments between ourselves that we can really compile these or compile within these songs: keys, bass, mandolin, banjo, guitar, various kinds of vocals with myriad range. And having Cecilia involved as well, on the last record as well as this record, there are so many different songs that we have where there is that signature line that she's producing that is going to be, that's the earworm, that ripping fiddle line. It's going to be great, and everybody's going to remember that. But there are also a lot of tracks that she's laying down behind and in between there to really make that pop and make that work so that that line is that much more noticeable. And that's, again, that's a credit to her artistry as well. So
Right.
it's a huge contributing factor. But for this record, differently than the last, Cecilia, Jake, and myself have really been able to accomplish most of what we're trying to do, aside from myself and my own failings as a very average banjo player, needing to reshop those parts to Michael, because I just I can't keep up with Cecilia on banjo. She's just putting parts down that are far too infectious for me not to want more out of banjo to support that. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, hey, I mean, it's good that you don't let your ego get in the way of that. That it's not like, oh, I can try to keep up. It's like, no, I definitely can't keep up. So let me shop this to someone else. And something I also want to talk about is you mentioned that this, Old Time in the Lookouts kind of came from quarantine, so you guys haven't gotten to play shows and shit like that, like most bands do. But I think some of the best bands, they put out music before they ever play shows, you
Yeah.
know. And what what when you go to actually play a show, what does Old Time in the Lookouts look like? Like, because there's so much shit going on, are you gonna have a
Yeah.
lot of backtracks, or are you gonna have actual,
Um,
musicians on stage?
well, that's a great question, because I think a lot of what we're aiming for, as far as the production value and everything, your studio experience and listening in your earbuds is such a different experience than at being at a live show. And to dial back to where we were talking about, it's so valuable to have the vehicle of this music really be what touches you, the listener, and what relays the message and the story that we're telling most accurately. And that doesn't need to be dressed up in like a 20-piece band or a backtrack
Right.
or anything like that. It's I would like to think that I would like to think that the performance of Grafton Rabbits was something that made somebody who's listening to this feel something. And I hope that I was able to do that without the orchestra behind me that we have playing on the record,
Right.
and I think for now, Cecilia and I would probably just approach any live show opportunity after the pandemic subsides, after people start to be able to do this safely again. We'll try to we'll try to get out there and do it. Probably just the two of us, maybe with some other support. I've talked with Michael about potentially joining us for some shows if he's available. I've of course spoken to Jake about that as well, and it's a lot to think about going into a show, but when and you have faith in the people that you're doing it with, it's not so much to stress over. I know that Cecilia and I could bring home a show, just the two of us playing the songs, especially the songs coming up on the new record, and knowing what we've done with the last record, I don't hesitate to know that if we're playing to a room of 15 people for like a So Far show, or if we're doing like a theater or something like that, like 100 seater or something, I'd feel comfortable with just having the two of us and a condenser mic up there for like an old style bluegrass vibe, which is, there's something quaint about that, and that music just bleeds, and that's the aim for all of this.
And what's your musical background that you bring to Old Tom? Is this a music that you grew up in and grew up playing, or did you come from a different style of music?
Well, my dad's a jazz drummer and a guitarist, and I grew up just outside New York City and had a lot of exposure to that kind of music, particularly, which was, that like Greenwich Village folk style music and jazz, and anything from the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast folk is just, that's usually right up my alley. I learned playing folk music to Paul Simon and Simon and Garfunkel, and I'm a huge Tom Waits fan as well as Bruce Springsteen. So using all of those influences and all of that exposure, I actually abandoned all of it after college and started a punk band. And then I was like, this is so expensive, and I just kept burning through gear, and that's like I couldn't understand how it could be economical to do this forever. So then I started this band Neversink, and playing with Galen Fraser and my one of my close friends Chris Adelman and them, and my dear friend Ryan, who actually does all of the art for Old Tom and the Lookout. So Ghost House Illustrations is a pillar in doing album art, as far as I'm concerned.
Shout out to Ghost House Illustrations, because that album artwork for Beautiful and Night is fucking amazing. Yes. And who's the guy that was doing the y'all were doing like a weekly thing of releasing artwork? Yeah. Was that him as well?
That's Ryan. That's one of my best friends from college. He's such a wonderful human and just creates such great art.
It's crazy.
It is, and he did a beautiful job, and continues to. So, Ghost House Illustrations, follow him on Instagram. But
it's GHOSTHAUS_illustrations.
Yes, and just such fabulous work. And honesty, again, is the big thing for myself and Cecilia. It's about honesty. It's knowing what you're bringing to the table and executing it to the best you can with the people around you. And Ryan does that. I forgot what we were talking about.
I was going to go on a tangent talking about Ghost House. One thing Nate and I were talking about recently is now with streaming, you don't get a full experience with the music. Like one thing we really enjoyed when we were kids was going to Best Buy on like a Thursday with the new album releases and getting the albums that we had been waiting for months. Just the anticipation was built up, and artwork was part of that. Like I love getting an album and going through the artwork and having that part of the visual experience while hearing the song. And that kind of added to it. Now we don't really get that because you might get one thumbnail for the entire album, and it's usually digitally made, and it's not a focal point. It's just, we have to have something, so we're going to put out this thumbnail. But that y'all went through the effort of putting out very intentional artwork. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That was an idea that Ryan and I had together when we were basically, both of us were looking for outlets to be more creative with during the pandemic, and it was a great outlet for us, and it was a wonderful way for us to collaborate again. After working together in Neversink, it had been years since we'd got to work creatively together, and support one another in that way, and that was so special to be able to do that so consistently. And all that aside, he's just brilliant at what he does, and he's such a good friend and colleague. It's awesome. It's great to be able to work with people like that and be surrounded by such good people who are looking to create art. And it's not from ego, and it's not from all that bullshit about it's not about the marketing. It's not about giving people the lip service of what kind of stuff you think they want. It's you.
Right.
We want to make something that's us, and if people don't want to buy it, that's fine. I'm happy to fail as me. I don't want to fail as somebody else, though. That would suck.
Hell yeah, man. Honestly, Bobby and I have been looking for someone to create a logo for Off the Beaten Path podcast, and we did find this amazing fucking person, Brogan Draws. But if we didn't find them before, because they're fucking amazing as well, we would definitely reach out to Ryan because his shit is badass.
Yeah, he's awesome, and it's a privilege to be able to work with him and call him a friend. So if anybody out there listening to this wants just anything, you want a sketch or a clip of any kind, I know he does prints. I know he's doing. We're doing a release of postcards actually for Old Tom and the Lookouts. I haven't put them up on the website yet, but we've got those, and that's mainly it. We're just trying to stay creative.
Hell yeah! And you guys, you mentioned a website. What's the website?
The website is oldtommusic.com.
Awesome. Well, definitely link that in the description, and also link Ghost House Illustrations in the description.
Yeah, and he's
yeah.
he's a monster illustrator. So just let him know. He's
right.
He's wonderful.
And, yeah, man. And before we started talking, we acknowledged that, hey, let's have you play a song. Why Grafton Rabbits? Why was that the one that you wanted to play? Does it mean something more to you, or?
Yeah. That's my favorite song off the record. I wrote that. I'm a big Nathaniel Rateliff fan, and that song. I've been listening to a lot of Nathaniel Rateliff lately, so that one was just in the top of my, at the top of my list of songs that I am most proud of that I've created, because I think that it is, it's something that resembles his work and is an homage to him, and all of those other big influences of mine. But I also think that the message behind the song is something that's super, super valuable for where I'm at currently, which is, at 0 out of 10, probably about a 6. And it's, that's, I think that for me, a lot of people that I've met in groups, or a lot of people that I've met individually, I've found that times like now, especially weather like this, times like now, current events like now, really kind of keep people stagnated about that level of contentedness or discomfort. And I think that song speaks to a bigger picture of there is something that is always bigger than us as individuals, and it's community, and it's realizing that there is always something bigger than yourself that you can help work towards to improve what's around you and yourself mainly. And that line, Grafton Rabbits don't give a shit just where you came from, I got from walking my dog just down the street. He's a 65-pound hound dog, and there's just this rabbit that was fucking sitting in the yard, and it just looked at us, and it did not give a fuck. It just stared at us. It didn't even inch towards the briar patch that was near it. It did not fucking care. And the reason why is because it's been here forever. That rabbit, the rabbits that made that rabbit, the rabbits that made those rabbits, they've always been here. And that stability, it it's dauntless, and that confidence in your station is dauntless and proud, but you know, it's it's it didn't care, you know. And there's so much that we as people just like we want to understand everything, and I get that, and I think that it's important to operate with empathy and compassion and support, and everybody is worth it, and everybody is worth the time. There's no conversation too small or too difficult, but there is also a lot that we're never going to understand fully, and just because we don't, it doesn't mean that we have to confront it with this fucking, you know, with both hands, you know. This rabbit just watches us.
Bruh, you know, I follow this girl on Snapchat. She's actually a friend of mine I went to high school with, and she posted a picture and on Snapchat, and like the caption or whatever you want to call it on Snapchat was, I'm a human and I care about everything." And that meant so much to me when I saw that, and it stuck with me because people always want to post like, "I don't give a fuck," or "long hair, don't care." Like, bro, you care. Like, you care what people think of you. You care what you put out into the world. You care about other people's opinions. You care how when you look in the mirror when you're about to take a shower, how you look, and it fucks with your head. You care about so much shit when you're fucking in your room and you're scrolling through Instagram and you see people on vacation. You fucking care. So it would be amazing to be like that fucking Grafton Rabbit. That's like, all right, yeah, that's a dog that could fucking kill me, but fuck it, man. I'm chilling. It would be amazing, but that's not how humans are constructed.
No, it's not. I'm sitting there waiting for my dog to do something stupid, and I'm stressed about it. Because this rabbit looks like a wonderful little creature who just wanted to eat on some berries. I was like, this is great. Let this, leave it alone.
Right.
And, yeah, that was, you know, that was what inspired that song. I don't know how, if that sounds, I don't know. I don't know how it sounds, the description of it, but that was
it's
where
beautiful.
It came from. Oh,
it's beautiful, man. That's that. In my opinion, it's fucking beautiful. And
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. So you for You're in Full Part 1, and then You're in Full Part 2. So You're in Full Part 1 starts off the album.
Sure.
And then the second one is the track right before the last track, which is the Beautiful or Not, which is on the title track, and that's the outro. But the music is very similar, but a little bit different if you listen to it. And the lyrics, the only thing that's the same about the lyrics is my eyes roll back to the center of my skull, or something of that nature. What exactly does that mean? And like, what was the driving force to? It's almost like a remix because it's not the same as that song. Lyrics are a little bit different.
Slightly,
but what was the driving force to make a part 2?
So actually, my friend Zach Conlian and I, we were writing Year in Full Part 1 together, and I had written four stanzas for that song, just kind of like, I don't know, it was like just an over caffeinated kind of like just type vomit, and I was just like vibrating, throwing out, you know, couplets and quatrains, and I was like, this is it. This is all relatively cohesive. It gets the idea across. If Zach likes these things, they'll let me know.
Right.
And I brought the first 2 stanzas to Zach, and they said, they're like, this is really cool. I like it for this. Those second 2 stanzas are very different in their own way, and I don't know how to I don't know if they connect. And the original idea was to write a song including all 4 of those stanzas, and a stanza of Zach's in the middle of them to connect them, almost to have it like circle back in a way to some sort of like a similar harmonic value in the same way that I do on the record. And we ended up tabling that for a while, for various reasons. We just didn't get back to it for a little bit. So I asked Zach, I was like, hey, can I throw this on the new record? And they're like, fucking absolutely, yeah. That's so great. And so I did that, and thinking on how I could make that cohesive, I did it, splitting it up into parts one and two, because in the way that I wrote the first, again, the first four stanzas together, I wanted to do the first two stanzas representing the way that your mind basically just picks itself apart.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that polarizing mania that you can experience that would, 1 second you're firing on all cylinders, and you're just like, I don't need to eat, I don't need to sleep, I'm invincible, that's great, I got this. And then, when you finally get a second to decompress from that, it often results in some sort of a low for myself. And I think a lot of other folks who deal with, manic episodes or depression or anxiety, what have you, in the, mental illness theater. But the main idea about this was to represent the very active abuse that your mind can apply to itself in repression, and then the second half was to represent the very passive abuse that your mind can apply to itself in the low, which is why the first one represents a very physical, like, like it's very hands, like it's a very physically abusive song, joining with a verbally abusive piece. It's like talking about how you're just getting beaten with words like a blunt object, you're getting elbowed, you're getting hit, you're getting punched in the gut. And because of that, your eyes are rolling back in your head to this reflection of, fuck, this year was actually a lot worse than I thought, now to bottom out. And in the second half of the song, it's significantly more passive, in that you're just, it's not really passive at all, but it represents a passive relationship, as it has a lot of language having to do with water, and basically the forces that can just hold you down, and that you are helpless basically to subside to, being, like, again, just the water of, the trickle turns to waterfall in a monologue grown 10 feet tall, is the idea that this, again, language is still so important in that which is either holding you down or holding you up. In this case, like water, we are helpless to it. I can't beat water, you can't beat water.
Right.
It's gonna win. And it's kind of this, just like involuntary surrender to something that's, again, it's a lot bigger than us, and it's, when it's chemical, it's completely out of our control in a lot of ways.
Yeah, you've mentioned it a couple of times, connecting to things that are bigger than us, sometimes in a manner that is beneficial and uplifting, and other times in a way that we have to surrender because we have no control. This was a very unique year for everybody alive globally, because we've never gone through shit like this before. So no one's ever had like a global pandemic and a lockdown, and seeing our governments scramble and protest in the streets for just causes and unjust causes. Like, America has been a shit show for the past 12 months.
Yeah, it's not a proud moment.
And the world's been crazy. What would you say is the big thing you're trying to connect to find that stability, much like the rabbit you encountered that inspired the song?
A big part for me is acknowledging. By no means do I say this to pander or anything. It's to acknowledge my own privilege coming from where I am, as somebody who's able to do this from my own studio and be able to benefit from what I have benefited from. That got me to the point where I am now, is different than anybody else that is experiencing even stuff similar to me. And that in and of itself is a privilege. And I want to use the record that I just wrote and the record that I'm writing to try to acknowledge humbly that everybody goes through something differently. And, that's one of the big things why Beautiful or Not is titled Beautiful or Not. It's that there is so much that is so relative and based so largely on the individual, in that what is beautiful to me and completely beautiful to me, my my dogs, my fiance, my muses. I I know that to somebody else it looks completely different. And for me that's happiness and that's safety and that's joy. And again, somebody else's version of that is completely different. And to come with that in mind, to try and connect with people about what is a bigger picture, I can't begin to tell anybody how to react to what's happening right now, but I can let them know that this is not something that they're dealing with alone. As differently as we might be dealing with it, we can support each other. We can do this, and we can create this relationship of symbiosis, and we all have a part to play. Mine right now is patient. Mine right now is quiet and listening and waiting to be directed and amplifying voices that a person in my position can amplify for folks who might not be able to amplify that. And for what I'm, for what I'm doing right now, a lot of it is driven by Scott Hutchison of Frightened Rabbits. Tiny Changes.
Shout out to Scott Hutchison.
Yeah, hell yeah. Make tiny changes to Earth. I can only control what I can control, and that's very, very little. But I know that as somebody who suffers from mental illness, I can, just like Scott and Frightened Rabbit did for me, I can hopefully do that for somebody. And even that little tiny change to as few people as it can reach, that might make the difference that, I don't know if I'm going to reach the fuckfaces that decided to storm the Capitol, but there are a lot of people out there who might want to listen to this and who might find some sort of peace, which that could mean that they're going to make a different decision later on down the line that could be more positive, or they could, there is altruism in the world. There is a collective good that we could be working towards that isn't, it's not on Twitter. It's not on Facebook. Mm-hmm. It's in our art and it's in our conversations.
Yeah, it's kind of the pebble in a pond kind of a situation where it might be a small impact, but it creates a ripple that extends far beyond the initial impact.
I hope so. And again, it goes back to as I understand, I'm not a person without ignorance, but it's what I can contribute to right now, and that's what I hope it can benefit somebody. I hope it can benefit a lot of people, but if it just benefits one person, that's enough. That's good for me.
And speaking of ignorance, this might be a little ignorant for me to say, but Frightened Rabbits, that's a very, like, somewhere in my brain, I see Frightened Rabbit. Did the vocalist, did he die?
He did. Yeah.
Did he kill himself?
He did, yeah.
Damn, bro. Yeah, I knew that fucking meant something to me because this compilation album that various artists did covered his work, and it was fucking amazing.
Yeah, dude.
And I was like, I need to go look up this Frightened Rabbits, and I looked it up, and I was like, damn. As soon as you said, I was like, wait a minute, that just triggered something in my brain that made me sad.
They are, yeah, they're my favorite band of all time.
Wow.
Yeah, Scott he's one of the finest lyricists that I think we're gonna see. Again, honesty was the vehicle for a lot of his music, and it was to make somebody know, and for me, it was to let me know that I wasn't going through all that shit alone.
Right.
Midnight Organ Fight came out, and I was like, oh my God. I remember listening with, like, my Ryan, Ghost House Illustrations. Ryan and I were on the way to a Neversink gig, and Ryan played Good Arms versus Bad Arms for me, and that was it. And I was just like, this is the single greatest fucking piece of work I've heard in a long time. And then I listened to the rest of the album, and I was like, head rolls off, and and like literally every other song on that record is just like, it's perfect. It's amazing, and just resounding for over a decade to come.
Maybe you know this because I'm not as deep in tune with them as you are, but it was a lyric that stuck with me. I'm gonna fuck it up completely, but it was something along the lines of, just because you fuck someone doesn't mean that you love them or that they love you. It was something along those lines, and it's just like his lyricism was so straightforward.
Yeah.
But it made you feel like you said, damn, I'm not alone in this struggle. Like
Yeah. That is,
he touched
that's
on
one
so many subjects.
that comes from one of the last songs on Midnight Organ Fight, and it's the one of the big, um, it's, again, it's super, like, his lyrics are visceral and very, very graphic and very
Yeah.
straightforward. Like, one of the most repeated lines in that song is, "You can't find love in a hole." Um,
Yes.
and while that might feel a little problematic, saying it alone, within the context of that song, there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot more there to suggest that, you know, happiness is again, it's relative, but it's not so simple as to find, your happiness isn't codependent to anything.
Mm-hmm.
You need to find it for yourself. And while I'm looking for mine, and we're all doing our, I don't know, it feels cheesy, but like, everybody's on their own journey, and we'll all figure it out eventually. But um, it doesn't have to look like anybody else's. Mine doesn't look like anybody else's. My peaceful place doesn't look like anybody else's, and it doesn't have to. But as long as it's not hurting anybody, as long as it's, it's communicating to a bigger picture, and folks who want to and who are ready to listen to what I have to say. Again, it's patient. It's compassionate, and it's empathetic, and that's coming from my position. That's what I think I need to do to make a difference.
Yeah, and talking about everything being relative, happiness, trauma, life in general. One of the lines that stood out to me on Beautiful or Not was, "I'm not the man I expected to be."
Yeah.
Um, where were you at in that place? Like in 2020 when you wrote that song, or maybe late 2019 when you wrote that song, who did you expect to be, and who did you find that you were?
um, to be quite honest, I always disappoint myself, and I think I'm always going to disappoint myself. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's partly because I have been very lucky to be able to surround myself with a lot of people who I am able to look up to, and you know my brother is a huge role model of mine. My parents are big role models. My sister is a big role model. My fiance is my rock and my future and my past and everything that makes me what I want to be and who I want to be. And it's all for her, and to the benefit of making myself better for both of us. And because I know that I can't just be this forever. To answer the questions about what I wanted to be, when I was a little kid, my brother was like, he was also a little kid, so he was like, "Hey, I want to make pizzas," and I was like, "You know what? I want to fucking make pizzas." And then when he got older, he was like, "I want to be a soccer star." I was like, "You know what? I want to play fucking soccer." And I never thought for myself what I wanted to do or what I wanted to be or what I wanted that to look like. So I always ended up substituting in different things to try and fill that. Um, you know, being a drunk slob in college, being an idiot and making mistakes and hurting people, and all along that path, doing and saying a lot of stupid, hurtful things, and being lucky enough to have a lot of the same people stick around, and then I think through that, finding out that the person that I am right now is not at all the person who I ever expected I would be, because I didn't expect myself to be anything. Having suffered with depression for as long as I did and being so uncertain about my own identities, I honestly, a lot of this record is to to signify finally figuring out just kind of who I am, and being able to recognize that in terms of something, within the timeline that I've experienced as an adult and as a kid, and to know that that's not even done yet, and that's overwhelmingly stressful, for me, because my growth and my development as a person isn't even nearly there, and that's daunting. But it's also kind of cool because I didn't expect that I would be around this long. living how I did, and being as depressed as I was, and dealing with suicidal stuff, and being somebody who would try to just that was the reflex of suicidal ideation for me was always this weird fucking big picture weighted blanket, which is to be like, you're gonna kill yourself anyways, and that's really, it sounds heavy. I think
it is heavy.
It feels heavy, but now being in a place, being medicated, getting the help that I need, realizing the support system that surrounds me is more than I could have ever dreamed I would wake up to, and to realize that I'm loved is the biggest thing. So I'm not the man I thought I'd be. I'm not.
Hey man, we relate in similar ways. Was your brother, was he the older brother?
He is. Yeah, he's my older brother. Yeah.
Okay, so Bobby, he's my older brother, and it's the same exact thing. It's we can go to McDonald's, and I'm 6 years old, and he's 9 or 10, and he knows that I don't like onions on my hamburger, but he's gonna get he's gonna, when we go to McDonald's, I want a cheeseburger, take the pickles off, keep the onions, and I'll be like, I want what Bobby wants, even though I didn't like onions, I would get what he got because he was my older brother, and I looked up to him so much, and then as I kind of started to stray away from that path, I still look up to him to this day. I'm 30 years old, and I still look up to Bobby like, yeah, man, I want to do what he does. Like, I want to be as good as he is. I want to fucking be the man he is one day. Yeah. And I look up to that shit, but at the same time, it's like you stray away at some point and start to become your own man.
Yeah.
And my thing is, I feel like I don't live with disappointment because I've disappointed myself too many times where it's like I can't trust other people, because if I can't trust myself, how the fuck am I supposed to trust some stranger, someone that loves me, someone that's close to me? How am I supposed to trust you if I can't even trust the person that I am, because I've done shit that I thought I would never do? So my question is, strip everything you have away. Strip your parents away. Take your fiance away, take your older brother away, take your music away, everything that you love, kind of how you did with Grafton Rabbits. Like, there's other instruments in that song, but you stripped it down to just acoustic and you. Strip all that away. Do you think that you could even possibly remotely be happy with none of that shit in your life?
No.
No way. Okay, so another question.
I know that's antithetical.
I feel like I'm depressed for him. It's like, shit, this dude just went through like a Job type experience.
I know, that sounds like such a terrible life.
Okay,
I'm sitting here getting sad myself. I'm like, shit, let me go pour one up. Nate, I've never questioned you, but I can't wait to see the wrap up of where you're going with this.
I don't have a wrap up. I just wanted. The only thing I had is I feel like that's what a lot of people struggle with. Is we depend on people so much. Mm-hmm. We depend on support from so many places and so many things and so many people that we haven't even learned 100% to be happy within ourselves. And it was kind of what you were speaking on, Alex, is, finding that happiness within yourself. Like you talked about suicidal thoughts, tendencies, and things of that nature. But I feel like humans are going to get there one day, but we're not there yet. I don't know if aliens need to come down. I don't know what it is, but we depend on so many things, and that's why we get disappointed. Like, you always hear, a parent saying, I'm not mad at you, I'm just disappointed. And disappointment is something because you trusted someone, you put your support in them, and then they fucking did something that you didn't expect they would do. But how can you put that trust in other people when you've disappointed yourself.
Well, um, I think it's also tough because I think when I hear what you're saying, I'm hearing a conversation that has just as much to do with expectation as it does with trust.
Mm.
And for myself, as somebody who was living with a very, very limited perspective on as to how long I would continue to make music or just continue to be here at all.
Mm-hmm.
As long as I would, continue to inconvenience the people who are important to me, who have stuck by me, to be this burden that I was so convinced that I was for such a long time. A lot of that had to do with my own expectations, not necessarily the trust that I had in them or me or the surrounding issues or people that I don't know, but a lot of it had to do with the expectations that I held myself and others accountable to without actually letting them know. And
Mm.
I think that lends itself to a lot of very disappointing pitfalls that I know have made my life very difficult and that I repeatedly see make a lot of people's lives very difficult. And I'm not saying to
Right.
live without expectation or to live without trust, but I think that there is a way to live with both of those respectively and apply them and to still hold folks and yourself accountable to specific and reasonable expectations and to trust, but to do so without conflating the two in a way that is going to make it, it's to go back to similarly what Bobby was saying about, it's like the pebble in the pond.
Mm.
That pebble in a pond is important because it's not an avalanche. If it only takes removing the tiniest rock at the bottom of a hill to create that avalanche, that little rock, that's the expectation conflated with trust. That's the expectation conflated with all of these other things completely void of accountability, or at least communicated accountability. That's
Right.
when that's removed, everything crashes.
Right.
So for me, a lot of it all comes down to this, you know, making sure that our expectations of what we want to get out of everything or from folks or from ourselves, that we're communicating that. And that's what this is for me. That's what this music is for me. I'm telling people what I want from myself and what I want. And a lot of it's an apology. Um, a lot of it's just saying nothing has come out to what I thought it was going to look like. You know, 30, let alone 31, any year after this is going to be a surprise.
Yeah, 100%, 100%, man. And just speaking of the trust, it's funny that we're talking about this because I looked up a definition 2 days ago. It's Pistanthrophobia, and what that is a fear of trusting others, and is often the result of experiencing a serious disappointment or a painful ending to a prior relationship. And basically what that is I feel like I have that because due to prior relationships and friendships that I've had,
Yeah.
and also me letting myself down, I feel like I can't trust people because the same sentiment of, if I can't trust myself, how do I expect to put trust into other people? And it's
It's
a sad thing. It's a sad way to live, but it protects me.
it's all a defense mechanism at the
It's a
end,
defense.
right?
It protects me.
It's it's hard. I feel like that kind of learned behavior, particularly for myself, is completely it's enveloping. Like I said, that having that reflexive, just that retreat to suicidal thoughts, and tendencies to, I'm going to kill myself anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
That was my life for a very long time, and just completely fixated on, when things go wrong, just not wanting to be here. And it's not that's that kind of thing. I feel like, again, it's relativity. The way I felt that is not how anybody else is going to feel it, and I can't expect or hold anybody else accountable for having those feelings or thinking that way, or expect anybody else to feel that way or to completely understand that. But to be able to communicate to folks with the means that I have, which are music, I'm music is one of the very few things that I am good at, and I value being able to discover that at any phase of my life, and to be able to discover new abilities that I have within sharing my music with folks, whether that is through lyrics or that is through melody or just harmonic compilation. I don't know, or a composition. Excuse me. I don't know. I think at the end of the day, it just means that we have to be that much more accepting of what we encounter on a daily, hourly basis. It's, as long as we can identify that somebody's not trying to hurt another person, it's important to talk. It's really important to communicate, because that person maybe they need to hear something. Maybe they want to say something. Maybe they have some message that's completely different than how they're sharing it right now. And just given the opportunity, that's it. That's a life-changing moment,
Hey, brother, let me tell you something. Don't be hard on yourself, man. You are good at the English language. You are able to articulate yourself in a way that other people can't. They are down on themselves, and they don't even know how to tell people what they're down on. You're able to articulate that, so you are much better at other things than just music. Like,
Thanks.
just the way you carry yourself, like you might deal with depression, you might deal with other things, but the fact that you can actually express it, other people can't do that. So you're good at that. You might not be good at basketball. You might not be you might not be good at air hockey.
Man,
but
Alex will slam dunk on your face, bro. Sit your ass down.
Dude, I'm 5'8". I'm not slam dunking on anybody.
I got faith in you, bro.
Hey, Spud Webb, man. Spud Webb, Atlanta Hawks. He was dunking on everyone. He was like 5'6", so I got faith in you as well. But yeah, man, whatever you say you're not good at, then you're not gonna be good at it. If you're shooting basketballs and you're saying, "Damn, I can't hit a shot," you're not gonna hit a shot. But if you say, "I'm the next Michael Jordan," you're gonna be the next Michael Jordan. Even if you hit 3 out of 10 of your shots, then it's okay, because they're like, "Hey, he said he's the best, so obviously he's the best." Like I feel like you're better, or you're good at things other than just music. Like, rather it's helping people, rather it's being transparent, rather it's having this beautiful little mustache goatee, whatever it is, man, you're good at it. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, you're a beautiful human.
Likewise. Thank you so much, both of you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'm gonna try to play a philosopher this Saturday. I'm not a very good philosopher, so if I fuck it up, I apologize in advance. But I was listening to Victor Wooten one time talk about his retreats that he does in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And they came from him meeting this guy. His name's Tom. I can't remember Tom's last name. But anyways, he's a naturalist, and he teaches a lot of like old traits that we don't have anymore, kind of like indigenous traits, nature tracking, and just kind of that holistic, back to the earth sort of thing.
Awesome, yeah.
And Victor was talking about how when he first took his class, he's like, Tom keeps calling this thing nature, but he's really just describing music. And often, like, I listen to Victor Wooten because I'm a bass player by instrument. And his music's great, and I love his educational music, but what I like even more is it's like, man, I came here for like a 15-minute YouTube education on bass, and I left with like an hour-long life lesson on how to be a better person. So yeah. I think things we point to are symbols. So like, you say you're only good at music, but when I hear you talk, your speaking is musical. The way you compose story is musical.
Preach.
And I've never lived in proximity to you, but I'm sure the way you have your daily flows are probably quite musical with different dynamics and volumes and swells and loud parts that are sonically in your face. And when Nate says English language, it's your entire being and your entire communication is part of your language, whether it's English or some other sound that we make with our mouths. So I think he's saying you're only good at music comprises more than just a 3-minute song. I think your life is music.
I hope so. Thank you.
And whether that's good or bad.
I think that's the nicest thing anybody said to me.
But no, like Bobby said, whether it's good or bad, yeah, I see the same thing that he was mentioning.
Thank you.
Yeah, like I don't know Alex, and I'm barely acquainted with old Tom music. But when I look at you, it's like, oh yeah, he's an old Tom. Like you have a look, like you look like old Tom. Like I do want to ask you that where the hell old Tom came from, because you're Alex, she's Cecilia, but you look like old Tom music. You dress like old Tom music. Your studio looks how I expected it to look.
It is. It's like, oh, this is old Tom. I don't know where the lookouts are, but old Tom is here.
Yeah, the lookouts are somewhere. They're out there with the rabbits, but old Tom is in the house. So, yeah, I think the things we gravitate to are just symbols, but we get to live them out in different ways.
I agree 100%. But yeah, back to the where did Old Tom and the Lookouts? Where did that stem from?
I just wanted really badly to do a solo project and to get some of the stuff that I'd been working on independently out there, and I was trying to think of a good moniker that I could do it under, and my middle name is Thomas.
Oh, okay, that works.
To share that, yeah.
So you are old Tom.
I am old Tom.
Oh yeah.
And I think at heart I'm pretty old man. And I never thought I looked much like an Alex. But I guess I look a lot like my great-grandfather, Tom.
You do look like a Tom more than an Alex.
Yes. I hope my mom hears this. But I guess I look like almost identical to my great-grandpa, Tom, who was just like he grew up in Hell's Kitchen, and he just worked on the docks from when he was like 12 years old, because he was just like one of those like really, really thick Irish dudes who, you know, when he was 12, he was already like 6 foot and like 180 pounds. And I was
that sounds so Boston too.
Yeah, but this was in New York.
Same kind of thing. Same kind of thing.
Yeah. It's the same. Honestly, it's like people are the same anywhere you go. And it's like you're in a big city, you're gonna find the same personalities.
You are.
Everybody talks about, you know. You know what? That's kind of antithetical to what I was saying for the previous parts of this podcast. But I think for the most part, people are generally, you know, when they identify truly with something, like folks identify with being from Boston or being from New York, there is such a there are so many multiple choice, you know, things that they are bound to color in for themselves in their own identifications in so many ways. And that one was one that he definitely did. You know, he was this like steadfast Irish dude who was going to work on the docks in New York, and that was what he did until he was a merchant marine. And he was an old style person, and I was like, I guess that could work. And I thought more about it, and one of the other folks who helped out a great deal with the first record, Sean Bonnie Burrell, who's a brilliant producer, brilliant musician in their own respect. They did a lot of producing, and they did the mixing and mastering on Beautiful or Not. In a conversation with them, we talked a lot about like supporting roles for this band Old Tom that I was coming up with. And he was like, well, what about the Lookouts? And I was like, that's fucking great. And you know, that was that was it. Then that was the genesis of Old Tom and the Lookouts in that conversation, and it's something that I think Old Tom was something that I figured out that I was kind of embodying before I really knew what it was. Kind of like what you two were saying, where it's like you look like you look like an old Tom. I've gotten that so many different times. It didn't all come together until I was like, I just look like a geriatric. That's what it is. It's a sad geriatric.
Well, hey man, it's been beautiful speaking with you.
Truly, thank you guys.
Yeah, man, definitely go check out Old Tom and the Lookouts. Uh, Amazing music, beautiful fucking music, and if you want to hear it right now, if you do not mind, Alex playing one more song to send us off.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. I would love to. I'm just gonna trade guitars really quick.
yeah, and before we part ways, I do want to know one thing.
Yeah.
The main cover art for Beautiful or Not is very simple artwork. It's empty hands, palms facing up, and constellations on the forearms. What's the thought behind that?
So that came from a lot of thought behind that came from Ryan, actually, in a conversation we had about an illustration for one of the songs on the record, Garden Work. And Garden Work is explicitly about self-harm, and one of the lines from that song is about drawing these constellations on your arms. And for me, I've covered up my own arms with tattoos, as I think many of us have at this point. But a lot of people do that for many reasons. Some people do it because they want everybody to see what great tribal tattoos they have and what awesome barbed wire they can cover themselves in. And some people want to cover up some nasty scars. And to those purposes or other ones, me and Ryan decided that this was going to be the artwork that would represent the record, in addition to representing that song. Because when Ryan came up with that for Garden Work, I was nearly brought to tears with how gorgeous, one, that he saw through the song so beautifully to be able to pick that out, and with how daring and honest his artwork is to decide to articulate it in that way. It speaks volumes to our friendship. It speaks volumes to the work we do together in collaboration. It speaks volumes to the person he is and how insightful he is. And again, all of this is a reflection of what we can do to communicate to a greater community, that everything and anybody and everybody is worth it.
That's beautiful, man.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
I'm ready for this song to be the send off. I want to hear what it's all about.
And
Sure thing.
and this is a new song.
Yeah, I thought I'd play you guys a new one. I wrote this song. Actually, one of the inspirations for this song was a moment that my fiance and I shared. In 2019, I was hospitalized for suicidal behavior, and I was in pretty rough shape, and I was in and out of consciousness on a gurney in the hallway in Mount Auburn Hospital in Cambridge, and mainly just because I was tired. I was there all night, and my fiance was on call at the time. She's a veterinarian, and she was working on call, so I didn't know if she was going to be able to come to the hospital to see me. And I think that looking back and saying that was stupid, because I count on her. I always know she'll come through. She's my person. But I opened my eyes at one point and she was there, and I just started crying. And the song is called Love in a Hospital.
And right before you get into it, I have a very serious question to ask.
Yeah.
What's the closest that you've gotten to actually killing yourself?
Well, when I was about 13, I remember standing in the kitchen of my parents' house, and I was home alone for something, and I was in a terrible place, and I don't remember exactly what put me there, which is interesting for such an enormous situation. But I remember the dog was, to me, like elastic. We had a big black lab named Rosie, and she was just following me around the house nonstop that day. And she clearly knew I was up before I did. And I was really in one of those places, and I walked into the kitchen, and I just remember tracing all over my body with a knife, and thinking about how much it was gonna fucking hurt, and who was gonna clean up the mess, and what was gonna happen to the dog. And that was why I didn't do it, because I didn't know what was gonna happen to the dog. So I didn't.
And look, man, I'm not gonna say who this is about, but it's about someone that I know personally, and they said they will never kill themselves, but if they were ever to do that, the only note they would leave is sorry for the mess.
That is that in a big way. That is a lot of what has, you know, not in recent years, but that was a big reason. You know, I think it's a protective nature, and it's to the protective nature of a lot of people. For me, I didn't want anybody to have to stumble onto that, you know, and that feels very selfish, to not do it for those reasons. But I'm here, you know, and that's really important.
It's very fucking important. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're making this beautiful music. I really hope and I pray that you do not do something stupid, no matter how fucking dark your life is at that point in time. I hope that you're able to see that, hey, I made it through this time, so I'll be able to make it through this time as well. I can't wait for this fucking song, man.
Thank you so much, Nate. And
yes,
thank you, Bobby, for having me, both of you. I really appreciate it. And thank you for speaking so candidly with me about all this stuff. I know not all of this is the easiest conversation to have, and it could probably be pretty uncomfortable. So I appreciate both of you. Thank you.
Hey, man, conversations with those that dare to be different, man. You are definitely a different person and a beautiful person as well.
Thank you. Likewise,
yeah,
both
man.
of you.
All right, let's hear this song.
You got it. All right, this is called Love in a Hospital. You guys hear me all right?
Yeah, it's not breaking up now. It may break up a little bit. If it does, guys, we apologize. It's the best we can do.
All right. It's like my hands don't work so good. Not connected to the arms. I understood. Used to work like mine. Used to think like me. It's a haunting dereliction of broken parts of me. And you hurt all over, and you feel like giving up. Please don't give up. It's like making love in a parking lot. I'm not saying I have, I'm just taking a stab at the world that I haven't got. It's like waking up in a hospital. I'm not sure where I am, but I've done what I can just to make it all possible. All the dogs are growling louder than I'd ever heard before. It's so hard to keep your head straight while the wolves are at your door. Kick and scrape like me, feel the hate like me. Staying honest to the birthmark you can touch, you can't see. When you hurt all over and you feel like giving up, please don't give up. It's like making love in a parking lot. I'm not saying I have, just taking a stab at the world that I haven't got. It's like waking up in a hospital. I'm not sure where I am, but I've done what I can to slow the healing. It's a plaster strip to hide the bleeding. When you hurt all over and you feel like giving up, please don't give up. It's like making love in a parking lot. I'm not saying I have, just taking a step. The world that I haven't got. It's like waking up in a hospital. I'm not sure where I am, but I've done what I can just to make it all possible. It's like making love in a parking lot. I'm not saying I have, just taking a step at the world that I haven't got. It's like waking up in a hospital. I'm not sure where I am, but I've done what I can just to make it all possible.
Old Tom. Man.
Oh my God, bruh. Alright,
Bro.
so it's like waking up in the hospital. I'm not sure where I am. It's like making love in the parking lot. I'm not saying that I have. When you hurt all over and you feel like giving up, please don't give up. Bruh.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, I got goosebumps and tears in my eyes.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I have a tear in my right eye. Like, man. Man, thank you, dude. Thank you for being so transparent. Thank you for putting it all in your music, because I've never made love in the parking lot either, honestly.
Nah, I've never done it. I've heard it's great.
But I've also never woken up in the hospital and didn't know where the fuck I am, as you actually did. Bruh.
Yeah. Thank you so much, both of you. Really, I appreciate you both. This has been a wonderful experience. Truly.
Man.
Same.
Go cop Beautiful or Not from Old Tom and the Lookouts. Follow them on Instagram, Old Tom and the Lookouts. This has been
Buy the hoodie because it's cold as fuck outside.
It is.
Please.
Definitely buy the hoodie, and while you buy that hoodie, if you have a record player, definitely go buy the LP. Fuck, this has been fucking amazing, man. This has been another episode of Off the Beaten Path podcast. I hope that you all stay black and don't be whack.
Thank you so much, everybody. Really. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. Truly.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely.
Thank you.